everybody, welcome to English for You. I'm Kat.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're talking about animals.
Yes, indeed.
Animals are great. I love animals.
They're pretty awesome.
Yeah. What's your favorite animal?
Oh my gosh, my favorite animal, well, of course, I have to mention my cats. I love both my cats, even when they're being naughty, but they're not the most exotic or strange or interesting animal in the world. I'd have to say octopus or octopi, if you want to use the more formal term, or octopuses. They're pretty fascinating,
They
right?
are, and they're very smart.
They can learn by watching, and not a lot of animals can do that, even some humans I know. So they're pretty amazing.
That's true. I've heard about one that escaped from an aquarium in New Zealand.
Yes, indeed.
And went to the ocean.
There you go.
That was pretty amazing. I think my favorite has to be maybe whales. I really like whales.
Okay,
Yeah.
which whale in particular?
Maybe blue whales, humpback whales, you know, the typical big guys.
The baleen whales?
Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah. So we are talking about some animals that actually do have some amazing abilities, like that octopus that can learn. So we're going to see what we are talking about today and learn about these amazing animals.
Reading.
How do animals do that? Animals have many amazing differences from humans. There are so many marvelous ways they can interact with the world around us. The Discovery Channel program, How Do Animals Do That?, investigates these kinds of fascinating facts about creatures great and small. This program gets up close to all sorts of animals and shows us the features that make their worlds so different from our own. Take owls, for instance. They hear the world in a resourceful way. An owl's right ear is higher than its left. When an owl hears a mouse squeak, the sound reaches each ear at different times. This allows the owl to locate exactly where the mouse is, even if it's out of sight. The mouse can't hide, and it's likely to become the owl's next meal. We envy birds because they can drift through the air. But who are most birds jealous of? The hummingbird. This feathered creature is the only bird that can fly backward and also hover in one spot. This is because it's able to flip its wings around. With this ability, they can spot food, flutter in, collect it, and fly away without landing. If you want to spot one, you need to watch closely. These little guys fly at up to 50 kilometers per hour.
Okay, so the title of our article, and actually also the title of a TV show that we're talking about, so if you're interested, you can find more from this TV show called How Do Animals Do That? It's a question we all might have asked at some point when we see amazing animals doing amazing things, whether it's a dog helping blind people cross the street or an octopus escaping from an aquarium.
Right.
Animals are incredible, and they often, catch our attention, make the news, or certainly spark our interest. So let's look at the article. It begins, animals have many amazing differences from humans. Well, sure.
Yeah, of course
All you
they
have
do.
to do is think of fish that can swim or birds that can fly. Those are two very obvious examples, but there are many more examples of animals with amazing differences and amazing abilities. Things that they can do that we really can't.
That's right. Yeah,
That's so sad.
Aw, don't be sad.
I wanna fly.
You can do a lot of things that animals can't do too, and you can fly in a plane. Yeah.
I need a ticket.
But anyway, so yeah, I mean, there's so many different kinds of animals on the earth. There's so many different things they can do, and the article says this too. There are so many marvelous ways they can interact with the world around us. Here we have our first vocab word. It is marvelous. Marvelous means something like wonderful or amazing or really, really great. It's from the word marvel. You might have seen that movie, Captain Marvel, a little while ago. Marvel is like feeling amazed at something. So if something is marvelous, wow, it's really cool. So an example of this might be, the magician performed some marvelous tricks for the audience.
All right, so if it's amazing, fantastic, awesome, or incredible, it could also be marvelous. And yes, some of these marvelous animals do interact with the world in very strange or unusual ways. To interact, this is a verb and it's spelled interact, I-N-T-E-R-A-C-T. So to interact is basically to just engage with something, all right? It has to sort of have something to do with another person, another thing. You can interact with people, of course, by talking to them or waving at them or just making eye contact with them. We can interact through using machines, through email or a phone call, but you can also interact with animals. If you pet a dog or stroke a cat or feed a lion, you are interacting with those animals. Machines, of course, we interact with our computers or ATM machines or telephones. We use those things to do something, basically by touching or talking or pressing or controlling. For example, in the future, people will interact with robots more and more. Yeah, we hear about robots who will be our waiters in restaurants or helping us in the bank. So we will have to talk and interact with them.
Right. I actually saw a robot in a bank one of these days that was kind of made me feel a little bit weird because it was staring after me as I left. And, but it was there to help you if you need to have some kind of service from the banker.
So it wasn't an evil robot that was there stealing people's money.
It was not. It was a helpful robot.
Well, not yet. Anyways, let's get back to the article. It says the Discovery Channel program, How Do Animals Do That? There's the title, investigates these kinds of fascinating facts about creatures great and small. To investigate is basically to sort of do research or to find out more information. And of course, we're investigating or finding out more about animals, great and small, big and small, but they're all fascinating or wonderfully interesting. Super interesting.
Yeah.
Hugely interesting.
Amazing.
That too.
Yes. So what kind of animals are we talking about?
Tell us more.
All right. Well, this program gets up close to all sorts of animals and shows us the features that make their worlds so different from our own. Okay, so here we have this kind of word sort. So if we say that a sort of something, that means like a kind of something or a type of something. That's like a group of something that's all the same. It's like a more informal way to say type. So often we say all sorts of things or this sort of thing. It's also a verb, sort, for dividing things by groups, like sort things out, like I will sort by color or sort by maybe different kinds of animal, that sort of thing. So an example of this might be, what sorts of food do you want to try in Japan?
All right, so here's an example of a fascinating animal. Ooh, I should have thought of this one as one of my favorites. Take owls, for instance. There you go. Now, we're not telling you to take owls, like grab them and bring them away with you.
They'll probably scratch you and bite you.
That would be bad and dangerous and could possibly be illegal. No, we say take blah, blah, blah when we say this as an example. All right, I love to travel. I've been to many great cities. Take Paris, for instance, or for example. I'm talking about that as just an example of a great city. So take owls, for example. How about owls? Here's an example, the owl.
The owl. So what's so great about the owl? Well, lots of things, but one of them is they hear the world in a resourceful way. So resourceful here, this word means like they're good at finding ways of dealing with practical problems. Like if an owl has a problem of maybe it can't see what it's trying to hunt, or it can only hear things around it because it's very dark, that might be they might have to use some resourceful ways to deal with that problem. And what is that resourceful way?
Interesting. So they're taking what they have, even though it might not be perfect, but they're using it in a way that makes it much more useful or powerful or something like that. All right. So let's look at how they hear the world. An owl's right ear is higher than its left ear. Yes, I saw this on a show a while ago. Most of our ears are pretty much on the same level. That's sort of the normal thing. But with owls, no, it's actually normal for one ear to be a few kind of centimeters, I think, a few millimeters or centimeters, a small distance above the other one. Now, why do they have these weirdly set, kind of off-balance ears?
Well, that's an interesting question. But here's the answer. When an owl hears a mouse squeak, the sound reaches each ear at different times. So maybe it reaches the lower one first and the higher one second. I mean, there might be sounds that reach our ears at different times, but the owls are a little bit more different because they have differently placed ears. And here we see this word squeak. If a mouse squeaks, a squeak is like a short, high-pitched little noise that often animals make, like little mice or rats or maybe little kittens. Like they go ee! Or something like that. Or machines can also make this noise. They can go ee! If they're not oiled very well.
Oh, like an old wooden door or something like that can squeak when you open it. Okay, kind of like the noise of a mouse. And of course, owls can hear that, but of course, when they have these weirdly set ears, the noise reaches one ear a little bit, like a tiny part of a second before it reaches the other one. What is that useful for? It says this allows the owl to locate exactly where the mouse is, even if it's out of sight. Wow, so their brain is able to sort of take that information of the different times they hear things, and then it's able to basically echolocate or sound locate where the sound is coming from. To locate is basically to find something. All right, it's kind of a fancy word for finding things. I lost my keys, now I need to locate them before I can drive my car. I need to find my keys, but we don't use it in that kind of way. We might use, for example, scientific equipment to locate sounds. Scientists use radio telescopes to locate radio waves and other things in space, or we might use satellite cameras to locate things on the ground, to find those things in kind of a scientific or sort of technical kind of way. For example, we could say this app can help locate your phone should you lose it. We could also say this app can help find your phone should you lose it.
Right, but find would be a little more like a human finding something.
Right, a little more casual.
Like you said, locate is more like an instrument or a robot or something like that.
That's right, using a machine to find something.
So we also have this phrase, out of sight, if the mouse is out of sight, and that means it's outside the area you can see.
It's hiding.
Yeah, like maybe, you know, if I'm turning like this, I can't see Mike anymore. Mike is out of sight. Even though he's right next to me. Maybe he can make bunny ears or something and, you know, make fun of me.
I wouldn't do that.
Would you not?
I might make owl ears.
Oh,
those little tufts that they have.
Owl
so
ears,
if the mouse is behind a tree or hiding, or even I've seen even in the total darkness.
That's right.
If there's no moon out, there's no light, the owl can still find that mouse, not with its eyes, but by using its ears.
Right.
So, as the article continues, it says the mouse can't hide, and it's likely to become the owl's next meal. So that last squeak was its last.
Ooh. So here we see this grammar point, which is the mouse is likely to be or likely to become the owl's next meal. This is a grammar point that's like subject is likely or not likely to do something, to verb. Like there's a high chance that this will happen. It's not 100% chance, but it is still pretty high. And if you want to say something besides not likely, you can also add words like very, more, less likely, most likely, or least likely to show, you know, the degree of the situation of how likely this is. Maybe if you want to say it's very, very likely, that means it's maybe 99% going to happen. Or not likely, maybe, you know, 10%. Probably not going to happen, but it still has a chance. Also, don't forget to always use the infinitive of the final verb. And so this is or was likely to something, not was likely to, was, were. So likely to be. Kim is very likely to get here late because she woke up at 11 a.m. is an example of this.
Okay, so owls are obviously amazing for their ability to find tiny animals in the dark. But of course, they are also birds.
That's right.
And birds, all of them, well, most of them except those lazy penguins and a few ostriches I can think of, they can fly, and that's another amazing ability. It says, we envy birds because they can drift through the air.
Wow.
But who are most birds jealous of? Interesting. So we envy birds because they can fly, but the article then finishes by saying, but birds envy another type of animal. We'll find out more about that once we talk about envy. To be envious or to envy someone is like to be jealous or to be jealous. It's like jealousy or to be jealous of something. Basically, in both of those situations, you want what someone else has or you want to be like someone else, but you just can't be, and it's making you really unhappy. So this is kind of this negative, bad emotion that we have when we see other people. They have something or they're skilled in some special way that we're not, or we don't have that thing. We're like, why do they have it? I should have it. I'm not as good as them. And it's kind of making you unhappy. It's not a good emotion, but we're all human, but it's best to try not to envy people too much and just be happy with yourself. But maybe you're like Ralph. Oh, Ralph in our example sentence. Ralph envies his brother's skills at basketball. His brother can run, jump, slam dunk, three-point shot.
And let me guess, Ralph is not so great at basketball.
Ralph is known as Mr. Double Dribble.
Aww.
That's his nickname.
Yep. That's it. Okay. Well, birds can drift through the air. They can, do all these things. And owls are actually very, very good at this.
Yeah.
Drifting is a verb that means like going through the air or through the water or over land even, using saved energy. So it means like if you're a bird, you take off flying and you flap your wings and you get high enough and then you just let go and you do this. And that's called drifting.
Oh, I thought you meant let go like you poop while you're flying.
No, you don't do that.
They do that.
Well, I mean, you could, sure.
Yeah,
but,
one did it on me once in Paris.
Oh, one did it on my cousin's head once.
Yeah, well, it wasn't on my head. At least there was that.
Yeah, that's true. But
I'm not envious of your cousin.
What I mean is let go of the flying.
Oh, the flying.
What I mean is just let your wings be
Right.
out and you just use that energy that you built up to just kind of go.
Let
keep
that
going.
go, yeah.
Yeah, you just keep going.
Much cleaner.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, this also works over water. So an example is the sailboat drifted along on the sea, pushed by a gentle breeze.
And pooping over the water would be good for the birds.
I guess, or for the fish, I don't know.
At least they wouldn't land on me. All right, so let's look at a bird that's an expert at flying. It makes owls and Andean condors and albatrosses look silly. The hummingbird, that's the animal we're talking about. The hummingbird, one of the most amazing animals and certainly birds around. Tell us about it, Kat.
And it's so small.
They're
Yeah,
teeny.
it's about this big.
Some of them are even smaller, aren't they?
Yeah, there's like little tiny little hummingbirds. So I love hummingbirds. This feathered creature is the only bird that can fly backwards and also hover in one spot.
Fly backwards, folks. It's like a helicopter.
Yeah, it's like a little birdie helicopter. So that actually has to do with the word hover. Hover means to stay off the ground in one place. So like helicopters use their propellers to hover. Birds like, the hummingbird, they use their wings to hover. Magnets can hover if they're being repelled by a magnet on the ground. There's also bugs that can do this, like dragonflies or some other ones that can just stay in one spot off the ground, and they can really control where they go because they don't have to keep flying.
There you go.
Yeah.
And now, how do they do it? How are hummingbirds able to hover and even fly backwards or sideways, right? They can fly sideways as well.
They can fly any direction they want.
Basically 3 dimensions, no problem. How do they do it? Well, the article continues and tells us this is because it's able to flip its wings around. It, of course, is the hummingbird. It doesn't matter if it's a boy or girl, they can both do this thing. But they can flip their wings around, again, kind of like a helicopter. I think the rotors can sort of do that too. We'll find out more soon. Yes, to flip. That's what the hummingbird can do with its wings, and that's what I'm doing with my hands here. I'm flipping them. It's basically to move something quickly from side to side or from one direction to another, but generally it's from, one side to another side. You flip pancakes, or you might flip something when you're cooking it so that you cook it on one side and then you flip it and cook it on the other side. The bird's wings can go from this side to that side, and of course that helps it change direction. It's amazing. And with its fantastic flipping wings, what can the hummingbird do?
Lots of things, of course, but like we said, they can fly anywhere, but also, with this ability, they can spot food, flutter in, collect it, and fly away without landing.
Perfect.
Yeah, so they never have to land. That's, if you ever see a hummingbird outside, it just goes in and with its little beak, it and then it drinks and then it goes away. Very, very fast. So this word flutter is like a kind of particular motion to another bird or another bug. So flutter is like when a bird or an insect flutters its wings, or its wings flutter, it means they move lightly and quickly up and down. Yeah.
I like to flutter my eyelashes sometimes.
Oh yeah, fluttery, flutter, flutter. So you can flutter anything that goes quickly up and down and is very light.
Yeah. Feathers flutter, I guess wings flutter, eyelashes flutter. We might even say a small flag is fluttering in the breeze or something like that. Anyways.
Or if there's somebody you like, you can say they make your heart flutter.
They make your heart flutter, or that could just be, an aneurysm, or, you need an angioplasty or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get back to the hummingbird. So hummingbirds are small. They can fly in any direction, but they move very, very quickly. Not just their wings, the whole little bird bit too. So if you want to spot one, or if you want to see one, you need to watch closely. Yeah, it's kind of like just trying to catch a dragonfly or a bee flying around.
Yeah.
They're very quick. Their wings move very fast. You can't even see them. I think it's something like 60 flaps per second.
Yeah,
or something like
crazy
fast. Like that. But anyways, so if you want to see one or spot a hummingbird, you have to watch carefully. Use your eyes.
And they're actually so fast that they use so much energy that they need to drink their entire body weight in nectar every day.
Wow, that's a lot of honey water.
Yep. So they need to drink these little honey waters. So, like we said, they're very fast. These little guys fly at up to 50 kilometers per hour. Yeah, so up to, that was the catch. So up to is like 50 kilometers per hour is the highest speed, but it could be lower. They're not always flying at 50 kilometers per hour. They might be flying at 30 or 40 or 20, if they're feeling a little bit low energy, maybe 10, don't know.
All right then, so if you want to find out more about this show, please join us tomorrow, but we're going to have our chat question next. So put your thinking caps on, get ready to chit and chat, and we'll be back to Ask a Good Question.
For you chat.
All right, so we've been talking about animals and some of their amazing abilities, but of course we've only talked about a few. There are many, many more examples, and that's kind of what our chat question is about. The question begins, think of your pet or any kind of animal you like. So it could be, a common pet like a dog or a cat, or maybe an animal you've seen in the zoo or seen on television. So think of an animal. Now here's the question, what do you think animals, or the one you're thinking of, what do you think animals can do better than people?
It's a good question. Well, if I think of my pets, I also have 2 cats.
Okay.
And they're very, very cute, and they're active. I know that they can run across the house and hit the exact spot where an insect is better than I ever could. They're very good at catching bugs. They're good at being like balancing on stuff, like they can balance on the top of a chair. They're also, good at cleaning themselves without having to take a shower.
That's true.
I'm jealous of that.
They're better at saving water than people are, but I mean, you could lick yourself clean. Nothing's stopping you.
There are parts you can't reach, though.
There are parts you can't reach, but there is yoga.
I guess so, yeah. I don't know, if yoga can teach me how to lick my back, then that'd be interesting.
You'd probably run out of water eventually.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the best way to do it. So there you go. Animals like cats are amazingly agile. They have wonderful eyes, and they're also super flexible. I know that sometimes I notice my cats are doing yoga while they're sleeping.
Mine too,
They kind of stretch out their back legs and then wrap their arms around their back legs, and it's totally straight. And I'm like, how are you doing yoga and taking a nap at the same time? What a great life you have. So there you go. There's an example, but of course there are millions and billions of other types of animals. Think of one. What do those animals do better than we can? And the only thing I can think that they can't do is tie shoes.
Or talk.
They can't tie shoelaces.
Some of them
can, but most of them can't tie shoelaces.
Yeah, that's true.
Monkeys could, though. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. How do animals do that? Animals have many amazing differences from humans. There are so many marvelous ways they can interact with the world around us. The Discovery Channel program, How Do Animals Do That?, investigates these kinds of fascinating facts about creatures great and small. This program gets up close to all sorts of animals and shows us the features that make their worlds so different from our own. Take owls, for instance. They hear the world in a resourceful way. An owl's right ear is higher than its left. When an owl hears a mouse squeak, the sound reaches each ear at different times. This allows the owl to locate exactly where the mouse is, even if it's out of sight. The mouse can't hide, and it's likely to become the owl's next meal. We envy birds because they can drift through the air. But who are most birds jealous of? The hummingbird. This feathered creature is the only bird that can fly backward and also hover in one spot. This is because it's able to flip its wings around. With this ability, they can spot food, flutter in, collect it, and fly away without landing. If you want to spot one, you need to watch closely. These little guys fly at up to 50 kilometers per hour.
Vocabulary Review.
Marvelous. My son won first prize at the talent show for his marvelous piano playing. Interact. John doesn't like to interact with the children who always bother him in the park. Sort. My daughter is spending too much time with the sort of boys I don't trust very much. Locate. This new app helps you locate anything you've lost, such as your keys or wallet. Envy. I envy my brother as he makes so much money and gets to travel to foreign cities. Drift. Claire stopped rowing and let her boat drift in whatever direction the sea took it.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net